Good morning, everybody. Well, it's sort of a good morning for me. I'm in Atlanta. I was supposed to be in Chile, in Santiago. Alejandro de Jesus, my partner in travel, did make it. I did not. Maybe you've heard about the challenges of Atlanta yesterday with equipment and runways, but apparently, although the flights in were problematic, the flight out to Chile was right on time. So I will be spending the day here in Atlanta. Not that many of you probably care one way or the other, but for me, it's that having to let go of something that I had planned. Um, all instead, I'm here in the hotel room in Atlanta. But the chocolate chip cookie last night when I finally got here, much later than planned. So, what's the topic for today? Well, the topic for today is coming from a question that came in, and I'm going to tease apart this situation because it had many, many components. One was that the particular type of dementia that someone was asking about was unique. It's progressive supranuclear palsy, which is a very uncommon dementia, but when it does hit, wow, does it hit hard. And it has some fairly unique, the disease moves forward is falls, and falls with sequela or falls with injury, very, very common. And this particular individual has had multiple falls and fractures. And unfortunately, the kinds of falls and fractures also can result in healing issues because the person often will have upper extremity injuries. And this person had both a humeral fracture, so a shoulder fracture, that it's not fixable, it's not resolvable, it can't be repaired. So it's permanently fracture, which is also permanently impairing the use of that right hand. And unfortunately, she's part of the 90% of humans that are right side dominant. So the question that came up for the person who sent it in is they're very familiar with pack stuff. So they were like, well, so do we stay on that side, although she can't move that side much? Or should we switch over to the left side and start having her try to do more with the left? And this individual had been in acute rehab and then was coming home the day of the question. So I'm going to pause it because the piece that I want to deal with today is the right versus left. Shall we switch out or shall we stay? And as is my usual, it's like, well, it sort of depends. And with supranuclear palsy, one of the challenges is connection, communication. How do we get the person to know and understand what we're trying to do? So some of my decision will be based on how comfortable and how available the person is. If I go high and I offer my hand in the visual field, will the person automatically attempt to take my hand? If so, then what I might do is make sure my gaze is directed down at my hand and moving it out toward theirs so that I stay within the range of what would be a typical hand position for her given her damages. So I don't want to make her move into a pattern of discomfort or pain, but I do want to find out what happens when I do an automatic greet with my hand. And is she comfortable? Is there enough recovery, and or is there too much damage to the bone marrow, the bone, any movement on that side? Although I will say, from a practice point of view, it's hard to imagine that you will be able to not touch and move that side for dressing, for bathing, for grooming, for all kinds of things. So I may want to really figure out what support the person needs for us to do those kind of things. Oh, I see there's a little pause here.
Yeah,
So what I'm hoping,
we've had
yeah,
a little bit of freezing back and forth and everything, but luckily I think it catches up, and then we're able to hear what you're
Oh,
talking
good.
about as you're going through. And I had a quick curiosity because I know you're talking about helping to support changing our approach to support, especially depending on which arm she tries with or how she does this. Would you also start off when you're that close that you could touch but still waiting for permission? Would you also start off lower to the ground or would you potentially stay standing?
Ah, very good question, Matthew. So I would probably make sure that I'm within her visual range, and I would also get down into that space where I don't, because raising her arm, bringing her arm out, reaching outward is all going to be impaired. Thanks. That's a really great observation. So I'm going to come in from the front, but toward that right hand side, knowing she's right handed, to see what happens. Now, if she can do a little movement in that very limited range, like very limited, so I'm going to actually come up so that the very limited range would be, oh, let's see, how can I do this? I'm going to back up a little bit so you can see this. And so the person might actually keep her arm or hand like this. But if she's okay with me coming in and supporting, what I will do is come under that elbow and also move it in a very supportive way to bring it just a little away from her body to see what happens there. So these are all evaluations. Now, hopefully, in the acute rehab, those kinds of things were done and a really clear plan of action is in place. Do this, don't do that, because we do still have to do the care routine on this side of the body. At this point, however, what I want to also keep in mind is with the PSP, which is the abbreviation for this condition, one of the things we may want to think about is it better to be to the person's right hand side, but in the center of their visual field, so that even though I'm on the right, for them, let me see if I can do this. Oh, I can't easily do it. Um, it would be like half of the world is gone. So I have to move into this half because that half behind me doesn't exist. It's highly possible that with the changes in vision field, it's collapsing down. It may be harder and harder for her to attend right, or it may not. I mean, she may be okay with full field of vision over to the right, but I'm feeling like that could be. What I want to figure out is how does she respond if I shift with people who have almost no mobility in their right, either due to a stroke or due to Parkinson's severe, or it's multiple fractures that they've had. And what I do is I lay my hand over their forearm, lightly over the under the forearm, excuse me, under the forearm. So they're laying on top of my arm. And I'm doing all the things with my hand and my arm, but they're just getting a sense of my movement. If they are strong right handers, if they have some flexibility in learning how to do things with their left, we could switch over. Knowing the progression of PSP, skill is starting to diminish throughout. And that skill is in oral skill, dexterity skill, eye skill, trunk stability, and movement skill. So, given all of that, I want to be super aware that I'm not probably building new skills in that left hand to take over. I may see the person be able to do some things with their hand as a device to do things, but I might not see them spontaneously use that left. So they may benefit from my support under the left to get them to move and use their left more. Um, but it's one of those things, it will be an individual decision based on how the person responds and reacts to what you do on the right, what you do on the left. And hopefully during rehab, they helped come up with a game plan that made sense. I'm wondering how strongly they communicated, though, given the question that we got. So sometimes people are really good at communicating, and sometimes not so much. So I'm going to pause there. I am sorry for the choppy nature of our communication this morning. I may go back and see if I can get a video to happen that we can then to this piece with some demonstration so that we can start to assess the situation and then work from that. But as a starting place, I wish I had an absolute, but it really does depend. So, Matthew, I'll turn it back over to you for closing it out if you have any thoughts or words of wisdom from the PT world.
Yeah, so Teepa, and one, just make sure to recap all of what we covered. So it seems like here in the beginning, as we're
Or not.
approaching, as we're coming in, or um, in that at least giving that opportunity, recognizing what could be changing, and making some shifts, trying some different things to see how that feels, to see if this is comfortable or if we're potentially causing some discomfort, and noticing the skill in the moment. So you gave us some great examples of pieces to notice, to try, especially with hemianopsia and things like that that support us. Which that hemianopsia, that was the thing Teepa was talking about, where you can only see
Nice job,
one
Matthew.
side of the eye. So noticing those pieces is the recap, and I would say from a PT standpoint, those are all super valuable because again, knowing these things and knowing those tools that we could pull out and try really support us as we're trying to support the individual. But knowing there's no absolute, there's no one way. It's literally trying something, pausing and noticing, is this okay or do I need to do something different? And that being a key skill of pausing and not just keep pushing through.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Take care of yourselves, take care with your care, and we will follow up with a demonstration video that has a little less pausing in it, hopefully. So apologize for the internet connectivity, but it's pouring down rain here in Atlanta. So maybe that's something to do with the challenge. Who knows? Till next time. See you soon.
Thanks, Teepa. Bye, everybody.